And once again, ladies and gentlemen, it is another episode of Black Chat Radio here on the Black Independent Media channel on the Roku Network. I am your host, the beautiful, the illustrious Joe Jimmy. Back once again. We want to thank you all for tuning in. The folks' show is for the month of July 2012. We want to kick off, number one, I received several complaints personally from those of you who heard the last show. I was flogged, tarred, and feathered by people close to me, very close to me, and I was very surprised by that. Actually not surprised, because we hit on controversy here on this show and we don't shy away from it. So no, I was not surprised. I was only taken aback, if you can believe that. But anyway, your host Joe Jimmy was severely they read the riot act to me in regards to last episode's show when I mentioned Thomas Sankara. They appreciated the content. However, some of the language that I used, people had problems with. And at times I did review the show, and yes, there were some words that I probably should not have used. But once again, we won't apologize here on Black Chat Radio. I will not deliver an apology. However, I will deliver an explanation and a sincere rewording of what should have been spoken on last show. Okay, I do know that some of you all had some very, very strong words about when I said white terrorist countries. Okay, folks, let me explain and not apologize. Okay, those of you who know me personally, Joe Jimmy, that is my stage name, of course, but those of you who know me personally, that I have Caucasian friends, I have white friends, I work with Caucasian whites and what have you. I work with all kinds of people. I don't want to just, it's not all about one group of people. I work with all kinds of people, and I love people. I love the human race. I love life, and you know, that's how I am, my being. I've been around all kinds of people, and I love all kinds of people. When I say the term white terrorist countries, it's a very strong phrase, I know, and a lot of people just really were disgusted by it. Or that's the word I heard, disgusted. And that's when I said, you know what, I've got to go ahead and set the record straight about this, because when people use words like that, there's some visceral emotions attached to that. Let me explain. Here's the thing, folks. And I say that phrase was used primarily and specifically based on the actions of these countries. Here's the deal. And for those of you who, you know, the African listeners that we do have, are those of you who've been to Africa, who are familiar with African politics. Okay, we all know of the dictatorships, the corruption, what have you. And we see that though the people want to get rid of these governments, they don't have the ability, because there's various countries who continuously provide money and logistical support, financial support, military support to them to keep them in power, because they like the corruption, and it allows them to come in and do as they please, to buy the land, to purchase the precious resources for pennies on the dollar, to circumvent regulation, so on and so forth. And a lot of these countries, and you know, I guess I should not have used the term white terrorists, because it actually is not just so-called countries. It's Asian countries, China in particular. There's several countries who are banging on the door of these African governments, trying to get what they can for cheap and for free, and to skirt any regulation, and particularly environmental regulation. So it's not just confined to one group of people or one country. And I take charge for that. It was a poor choice of words. I should not have said that. I acknowledge that, and I should have been inclusive to all of the groups who are in fact doing so much harm to Africa, who are providing million dollar weapon shipments to these dictatorships and these corrupt governments, so they in turn can kill and maim black Africans who dare try to oppose their rule. And I could go on about, I mentioned the case of Ken Saro-Wiwa in Nigeria. This gentleman, he threatened the status quo. He challenged the Nigerian government, Royal Dutch Shell in particular, where he was complaining, he was protesting, willing to give his life, wanting to stop dumping tons of petrochemical waste in their tribal homeland on the outskirts of Nigeria. And in response to that, Royal Dutch Shell, of course, you all know, is European. I think it's based in the UK, but that may not be accurate. But it's the United Kingdom or one of those countries. But anyway, Royal Dutch Shell's response was to not only did they provide helicopters, indirectly they provided weapons, automatic rifles, what have you, to the Nigerian military. They actually escorted several Nigerian soldiers to the site where Mr. Ken Saro-Wiwa was protesting, and they flew them over on the helicopter to kill those protesters. I believe on the day Mr. Ken Saro-Wiwa was captured, I believe there was almost 15 people killed, several more wounded. They immediately opened fire. Those Nigerian soldiers, I don't know, folks, what's wrong with me today, but those Nigerian soldiers who were escorted on that helicopter, or several helicopters provided by Royal Dutch Shell, swooped down, and they immediately opened fire on the protesters, killing several, maiming several more, and capturing and eventually executing Mr. Ken Saro-Wiwa and those around him. This man, his only crime was to protest the evil and the recklessness and outright lack of respect for the Nigerian people, their water, their food supply. He said, well, enough was enough. You know, the Nigerian government acted as an agent, not for the Nigerian people, but for an agent of these corporations, for Royal Dutch Shell and various others. So anyway, Mr. Ken Saro-Wiwa was eventually murdered, and in a lawsuit filed here in the United States, Royal Dutch Shell settled out of court with the family. The family received a multi-million-dollar settlement, and that basically was hush money so that the full trial could be avoided, and the facts, or the crimes rather, exposed. So, you know, in saying that, that is, you know, that's a very strong indictment. If you all please do, you can look at the official releases from Shell Oil, where they mentioned Ken Saro-Wiwa settlement. You can do your own research. You can contact, I believe that trial, it was either in Washington, D.C. or New York, I believe. But do your own research on that. They settled out of court, I believe, back in 2010, but that was a particularly big case. But there's several hundreds of us that that are not talked about in the media at all. They're not quote unquote attention grabbers, but once again, it happens on a continuous basis where throughout Africa, corporations are allowed to do pretty much whatever they want. And they've shown a reckless disregard, a contempt, if you will, for the people who live in these areas where they want to extract oil and leave their tons of wastes in the water and the soil where these people eat and drink and live. So anyway, it's just not confined to so-called white terrorist countries. Yeah, okay, yeah, that was a very poor choice of words, and it's several countries around the world, okay, including other black African countries who are doing it to their fellow African compatriots, their fellow African countrymen in other African countries, black African countries, where they are actually going back and forth with each other. They're swapping out. One corporation is allowed to do this in one country while the other one is allowed to do this one. And so anyway, folks, the whole thing is a horrible, horrible mess, and thousands of people have died to try to stop this. Yours truly personally has contacted the embassies here in the United States on numerous occasions. I've contacted Congress people, my congressman, where I live at. I've contacted her several times, and this person has decided to ignore, this congresswoman has ignored your host, Joe Jimmy. I've spoken to her workers, people in her office. I've actually spoken to her directly in a public forum, and virtually was ignored. She literally downplayed when I was trying to ask her, and when I tried to go back and force the issue, meaning I wanted to clarification to make sure that she understood exactly what I was saying to her, I was told that I would not be given access to the microphone again. I would not be able to talk again in this public forum. So, folks, that was a bad experience for myself personally. And it also really hammered down to me the possibility that these Congress people here in the United States may or may not be, in fact, be receiving bribes from these African governments so that they can continue to do what they want, and they can continue to get the bribes. They can continue to disrespect, marginalize, and basically destroy their own people in their own land. As I said before, most African governments, they receive their health care overseas. They send their children to school overseas. They have no respect for the people domestically, and I think that that's something that we need to hit home and expose on all fronts. And I will not relent in doing so. So anyway, folks, Black Chat Radio once again. We do not apologize. We issue heartfelt clarifications, and I wanted to do that. Your host, Joe Jimmy. Once again, that was a very poor choice of words. White terrorist countries, But once again, folks, if your country, and it's like I said, it's not just Caucasian countries. It's several around the world, including other Black African countries who are doing it internally, but anytime you support financially, you provide weapons, money, logistical support, transportation, etc., to known tyrants, to countries and governments who have track records that would make Adolf Hitler blush. That to me personally qualifies you as terrorists, because you are empowering the dictator, the tyrant, to continue dictating and tyrannizing. So you are in fact an extension of that tyranny. You are an extension of that dictatorship. Okay? that tyranny, that you know, the evil of it. So I mean, to those countries who are providing money, weapons, transportation to these countries, Black Africa, because you know, it's the hurt and the damage done is so magnified, because you have a group of people who are already poor, where illiteracy rates are the highest in the world. They are poor, they are ignorant, so the damage done to them is magnified on so many levels, and they don't have anyone who can speak for them. They don't have the ability to call a press conference, or because of the political situation, they can't even gather to protest, because these governments will immediately swoop in with soldiers and military. They'll come in with tanks and Chinook helicopters or what have you, provided by these various terrorist countries, and they will kill and maim anyone who threatens the status quo and who dares protest against their rule. These heinous individuals in these countries, these governments, and that's something, you know, that folks I find personally unacceptable. And yes, that was some strong words, but these countries, these governments, these individuals, they need light shed on them. And I would hope that Black Chat Radio is a medium to do that. Yes, we are independent. Yes, we say what we want. We are not bound by corporate nooses around our necks. We are not bound by the financial needs of XYZ Corporation. We would love sponsors, folks. We would love sponsors, but understand that as a sponsor on the show, that you know, Black Chat Radio, we would like to remain independent and not to scare anyone off, but you know, we do this out of a love of humanity and a love of people and a love of justice. Okay, that's the one thing that your host Joe Jimmy is. I love justice, and I absolutely 100% do not tolerate injustice rather, particularly the gross injustice has been happening in Africa, all throughout Africa, since time immemorial. So you know, we would love sponsors, folks. We want those of you who are interested in sponsoring. Our viewership is very very high on the show. It's getting better and better every show. So anyway, we want to say to you that yes, we would love your sponsorship, but you know, we wish to retain the freedom to speak about these issues, and we will continue to speak on these issues, because they affect millions of people right now, as we listen, as you listen to the show, as you listen and you think about what I'm saying. So anyway, we want to remain on that particular path. Okay. So otherwise, anyway, folks, this week's show, I wanted to basically let the audience know that your host will be taking a trip to Africa very soon, and on that trip, I'm going incognito. Basically, not to give out. I won't be giving out very much information, because what will be happening is that yours truly, will be given access to government officials in some capacity. In great capacity. So I want to get to these people and get into the brain, the mind of these individuals, and I want to understand the callousness, the reasoning behind the policies, the reasoning as to why you would want to keep your people ignorant, why you would want to keep your people in poverty, marginalized, abused by countries all around the world. Why has there been no investment in the people? why you put foreign countries and corporations first over your own domestic agenda. That in most countries that's called treason. But in most in pretty much all of the black African countries, it's not treason. It's actually business as usual. So anyway, folks, on this trip, your host, Joe Jimmy, will be having access to government officials in at least 2 of these countries. I won't mention the names. I don't even want to give hints because, like I said, it's a security sensitive thing. But I mean, I will be there, and hopefully I'll be recording some of the conversations because we want to find out what exactly is going on. What exactly is going on? Why? Because, folks, and here's the thing. Some of the African viewers will want to, and to comment. They've said, well, okay, well, Joe Jimmy, look, you're talking about Africa so much on your recent shows. Why don't you talk about blacks in America? The high incarceration rate for black men and women. How it is. Substantially higher, how it is disproportionately higher, that we are targeted for incarceration, we are targeted for the death penalty, and various other gross injustices. Folks, no, that's fine, but understand. Look, this is not about tit for tat. This is not about, okay, you say something about the Africans, or now let's say something about the blacks in America. Folks, this is not about self-hatred. We have enough self-hatred as is. I don't care where, be it from America, Jamaica, Haiti, Africa, black people are hurting everywhere. Okay? Look, it's not about, oh, I want to get on Africa. Okay, well, now the Africans, you have to get on the black Americans. Folks, look, no, we are too intelligent for such a demeaning discussion. And I will not go there. This is not about me attacking Africa because, oh, here in black America, we are so much better. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I won't even go there, folks. This is not about, this is about uplifting all black people around the world, be it from Jamaica having one of the highest murder rates in the world, Haiti having systemic poverty and corruption, just as it is in Africa, Jamaica having the same massive corruption. Look, black people are hurting worldwide. I harp on Africa, and I've said this in previous shows. I harp on Africa because Africa, that is the home base. That is your soil. That should be our soil. The country should be, as I said before, it should be a powerhouse. It should be one of the richest, if not the richest nation in the world. It has resources, precious metals, minerals, fossil fuels that should put that continent on the map for success and progress and quality of life, where in fact it's in the reverse, as we all know. It should be a place where job opportunities are plentiful for black Africans and I guess other groups who eventually want to come into the country. Instead, we have a situation where black Africans are having to go and move to several of these European countries who don't want them there, who don't want you there, who don't want us there. I said us. Okay? Us. It's not a competition. I said they don't want us there. We heard recently on the Olympics where one of the Olympians, the female Olympian from Greece, she was expelled due to her racist tweets about Africans in Greece. And she made the comment that the West Nile virus, there were so many Africans in Greece, the mosquitoes, at least the mosquitoes with West Nile virus will feel straight at home eating, home or regular. Anyway, something along those lines about West Africa, too many, the blacks in Greece and West Nile virus, and they would feel, the mosquitoes would feel right at home eating from the black Africans because they have some of the same diseases back in Africa. I don't know, but anyway, I briefly read that, but they don't want you. They don't want us there. In these European countries, I see in the UK, they're complaining now about the for blacks in the UK, the unemployment rate it hovers around 50%. In Germany, all of these countries, and the mentality is that my mindset is that why on earth are we having to go to these countries? Why aren't these black African governments trying to uplift and change and transform their countries to that they can provide? There is tons of opportunity in most of these black African countries, particularly in infrastructure, roads, you're capitalizing on the resources, the fossil fuels, etc., etc. Research, I could go on and on. There's so much opportunity, and instead there's none of that. The only opportunities really being provided there are from foreign countries who are, in fact, for example, China in Chad, the logging industry in Chad, and some other and several other African countries. They are shipping in their own Chinese workers. They are not hiring any of the local black Africans. If they do hire them, it's for miserable grunt work, the lowest, hardest work that anybody can do. And they're paying them pennies. Pennies. The Africans in turn, the black Africans in turn, are complaining to their governments about the abuses from the Chinese companies and corporations, about the lack of wages. And so far, these African governments have ignored them completely. They have no respect for them at all. They won't even acknowledge them. Recently, in one of the, I believe it was Malawi. One of the tribes, China is in Malawi, and one of the tribal groups in that country, as I said, they're not getting paid for anything. They're paying them very, very little. The working conditions are very harsh, akin to slavery, but not so, because they're paying them pennies, as I said. But anyway, they assembled. And they wanted the government, they assembled to get the government's attention to address their pleas. The Malawian government refused to hear any of it. They would not hear it. They would not discuss it. They would not talk about it. There would be no meeting of anything. They would not talk about anything. No. And thereby the Malawian government told their people that you are not important. The only thing we care about are these foreign corporations, the Chinese, the British, the Germans. That's what we care about. We care about their money, their bribes, their Mercedes-Benz, and that's their priority. And that's why I talk the way I talk. It's not about attacking Africa and then trying to, say that, okay, well, us black Americans are so much better. No. But folks, that kind of injustice is so gross, it needs to be discussed. And I will discuss it. I will talk about it, and I will expose it. Because it makes no sense. Because it's those people in Malawi are so poor. The government has invested nothing in education or any training or trying to, get anything started along those lines. No. So we aim to expose that. So anyway, folks, that's what I wanted to talk about particularly is some of the things that I've heard about the most recent shows about Africa and people close to me, and some of you listening to the show anonymously. Having some very, very strong commentary about what's been said. And folks, it's not out of, I I say it out of a love for humanity. I say it for a love I want to see our group, instead of being synonymous with poverty, famine, disease, corruption, ineffectiveness, begging, I want to see Black Africa. I want to see Black people around the world. I want to see all of us synonymous with success and productivity and creativity and innovation, financial success. That's what I want to see. That's the world I envision. That's the world I fight for, and that's why I'm here on Black Chat Radio to talk the way I talk, because we, as I said before, we ought to be ashamed. And obviously we're not, because nothing's changing. And that's why yours truly is taking the trip to Africa next month. Or very recently, I'll be taking the trip. And I will be having access to these individuals, and I will be hopefully be able to record some of the conversations to get an earful on the mentality that goes on there, because for the life of me, I don't understand it. I don't get it. And something needs to be done very quickly. So anyway, folks, peace and love to all of you. Peace and love to my brothers and sisters from the Caucasian family, from the African family, from the Haitian family, from the Jamaican family, to the Black American family, all of us around the world, and those of us in the diaspora that oftentimes we are forced to live in these foreign countries and whatnot. But peace and love to all of us, folks. There's no hatred here. The only hatred that I, Joe Jimmy, have is a hatred for poverty, for disease, for suffering, for lack of productivity, for lack of progress and success. That's what I have a hatred for. Okay, and to my many, I'll say, Caucasian friends, Asian, Arab friends, those of you close to me, again, that was a very poor choice of words, and that's something that I have addressed. So anyway, folks, that is it for today's show. I just wanted to address a lot of the commentary that I received personally, and to clear up the ideology behind the show. The only thing that yours truly, Joe Jimmy, wants is a successful, proud, and self-sufficient group of people. I get so sick and tired of seeing the images of the children covered in flies, begging for food, adult people begging for food, walking around eating sand to fill our stomachs up in Somalia. And some of these countries, per the drought or the droughts that have occurred over the past year or so, I want to see that obliterated. I want to see that destroyed. I want to see proud, prosperous people. So anyway, folks, that is today's show, Black Chat Radio. I am your host, Joe Jimmy. Tune in next month. I hope to have some actual live recordings of conversations that I'm having with these government officials in Africa. And I'll want, again, folks, remember our website, blackchatradio.blogspot.com. That's blackchatradio.blogspot.com. You should see it on your screen. Once again, folks, feel free to comment. You can comment anonymously. You do not have to create an account or anything. Just understand that commentary will be legal. Threats about violence, etc., hate speech, your comments will be blocked. But anyway, we want commentary, folks. We want dialogue, and we want to hear from you. So anyway, check out our website. That's blackchatradio.blogspot.com. I am your host, Joe Jimmy. And once again, thank you for tuning in, and have a blessed and happy month. Goodbye.